Imagine a machine defying gravity, hurtling through the atmosphere at incredible speeds, bound for the stars. This isn't fiction, it's the reality of rockets. These gargantuan marvels of engineering leap towards the heavens in a blaze of fire and smoke, shattering the quietude of the launch pad. The ground trembles, the air roars, and in a blink, they're gone. A tiny glimmer against the vast canvas of the sky. How do these amazing machines work? Let's dive in. The journey of rockets starts thousands of years back. Our story begins in ancient Greece, where an engineer named Hero invented a simple steam-powered device called an aeolipile. However, it wasn't until the 9th century that we saw the first true rockets born in China, primarily used for military purposes. Fast forward to the 20th century, we meet Konstantin Tsiolkovsky, a Russian scientist who is often referred to as the father of astronautics. His most significant contribution is the rocket equation, a fundamental piece of knowledge that still guides rocket science today. Around the same time, across the ocean, an American physicist named Robert H. Goddard was making strides with his liquid-fueled rocket. His successful launch in 1926 marked a significant milestone in the history of rocketry. These pioneers laid the groundwork for the rockets we see today. Their contributions were instrumental in turning the dream of space exploration into a reality. At its core, a rocket operates on a simple principle. This principle is none other than Newton's third law of motion, which states that for every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction. But how does this apply to rocketry, you ask? Well, imagine a skateboarder pushing off a wall. They move in the opposite direction, right? Now imagine that on a much larger scale. Rockets thrust forward by expelling gases backward at high speed. The force of the gases downward is the action, and the rocket moving upward is the reaction. Now let's delve into the key components of a rocket. First, we have the propellant, which is the fuel, and the oxidizer. The fuel is what burns, and the oxidizer is a substance that helps the fuel burn. These two components combine in a combustion reaction, which is where the magic happens, creating an enormous amount of gas and heat, pushing the rocket forward. Next, we have the nozzle, which is essentially an exit route for the gases. It's shaped in a way that helps to speed up the gases as they leave, enhancing the thrust. Lastly, the payload, which is what the rocket is carrying into space. It could be a satellite, scientific instruments, or even humans. That's the basic principle, but there's much more to a rocket. So let's continue our journey into the fascinating world of rocketry. Rockets come in different shapes and sizes, but most importantly, different types. Each of these has unique characteristics and applications, making them suitable for specific missions. First off, let's talk about liquid fuel rockets. These use liquid propellants that are stored separately and combined in a combustion chamber to produce thrust. This type of rocket offers a high degree of control, as the flow of propellant can be regulated, allowing for changes in thrust and direction mid-flight. Next up, we have solid fuel rockets. These rockets use a single piece of solid propellant which, once ignited, burns from the inside out, creating thrust. The simplicity of their design makes them reliable and cost-effective, but they lack the flexibility of their liquid counterparts, as their thrust cannot be controlled once ignited. And then, there's a blend of the two, known as hybrid rockets. These use a solid fuel and a separate liquid or gaseous oxidizer. They combine the best of both worlds, the simplicity and reliability of solid fuel rockets with the controllability of liquid fuel rockets. But there's more to the world of rockets than just these three types. There are also ion and plasma rockets, which use electric propulsion and are perfect for long-duration space missions due to their efficiency, despite having relatively low thrust. Each type of rocket has its unique advantages and uses. Whether it's launching a satellite, exploring the vast cosmos, or taking humans to space, there's a rocket for every mission. The heart of a rocket's operation lies in its propulsion system. Now, this propulsion system is essentially a machine designed for a singular, awe-inspiring purpose: to hurl a rocket into the vast expanse of space. It's a feat that requires overcoming the formidable force of Earth's gravity, and that's where the magic of rocket propellants comes into play. You can think of rocket propellants as the fuel for the rocket. They're typically made up of two main components, the fuel and the oxidizer. The fuel provides the energy, while the oxidizer supports the combustion process. When these two ingredients meet and ignite, they burn at an incredibly high temperature, causing the molecules to break apart and release energy in the form of heat and light. This combustion process takes place in a part of the rocket called the combustion chamber. As the propellants burn, they produce hot gases. These gases are then expelled out of the back of the rocket through a nozzle, creating an intense force or thrust. Now, here's where Sir Isaac Newton steps in. According to his third law of motion, for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. So, as the gases rush downward, the rocket is propelled upward with an equal force. It's this very reaction that thrusts the rocket high and away, piercing the sky and venturing into space. This powerful reaction is what propels a rocket into space. And that, my friends, is the fascinating science of rocket propulsion. Rockets often have more than one stage to maximize efficiency. This is a concept known as staging, a fundamental aspect of rocket design that's all about the art of shedding weight. The idea is simple. As the rocket ascends, it uses up fuel, and the empty tanks become dead weight. By jettisoning these spent stages, the rocket becomes lighter, allowing the remaining stages to push the payload further with less effort. Think of it as a relay race where each runner, or in this case, each stage, passes the baton or the payload to the next. The first stage, the heaviest and most powerful, gets the rocket off the ground. Once its fuel is depleted, it drops away. The second stage then fires up, propelling the rocket even higher. This process continues until the final stage is ignited, carrying the payload into space. Staging is a critical part of a rocket's journey to space. It's an ingenious solution to the problem of gravity and the key to reaching the stars. What's the point of sending a rocket into space? The answer lies in its payload. The payload is essentially the cargo of the rocket, the reason why it embarks on its fiery journey through the atmosphere. Payloads can vary greatly depending on the mission's objectives. They can be scientific instruments for conducting research or collecting data about our universe. They can be satellites that aid in telecommunications, weather monitoring, or global positioning. Sometimes, the payload is even more precious. Astronauts embarking on missions to the International Space Station, the Moon, or perhaps one day Mars. But regardless of what it is, the payload is the heart of the mission. It's the purpose, the goal, the endgame. The payload is the reason for the rocket's journey. The launch of a rocket is a meticulously planned sequence. It all begins with the ignition, where the rocket's engines are fired up and tested for stability. Once the green light is given, the countdown reaches 0, and liftoff occurs. The rocket, now a fiery arrow against the sky, ascends, its engines roaring as they burn through thousands of pounds of fuel. This is the first stage, the most powerful, designed to break free from Earth's gravitational pull. When its fuel is depleted, the first stage is jettisoned, and the second stage ignites. Each subsequent stage is lighter and carries less fuel, making it more efficient for the rocket to continue its ascent into space. A successful launch is a marvel of precision and coordination. Rockets have a wide array of incredible applications. They are the workhorses of space exploration, ferrying astronauts to distant celestial bodies and launching satellites that help us monitor Earth's climate, navigate our world, and communicate globally. Rockets also propel scientific research forward, facilitating experiments in zero-gravity environments and enabling the study of other planets and distant stars. From Mars rovers to private space tourism, rockets are unlocking new frontiers. Rockets are integral tools in our quest to understand the universe. We've journeyed through the world of rockets, but this is just the beginning. We've ignited our understanding with the history of rockets, from the early inventors to the modern-day space explorers. We've propelled our knowledge forward by learning the basic principles of rocketry, Newton's third law reminding us of the action and reaction at the heart of it all. We've explored the different types of rockets, from liquid to solid fuel, and hybrids in between. We've burned bright with the complexities of rocket propulsion and the chemical reactions that thrust these machines into space. We've staged our learning, understanding the importance of shedding weight as we reach for the stars. We've carried our curiosity in the form of payloads, whether they be satellites, scientific instruments, or astronauts. Our journey has been filled with launch sequences, applications, and the endless possibilities that space has to offer. The future of rocketry is as boundless as the cosmos they explore. Stay curious and keep reaching for the stars.